Then we will take questions. The United States Supreme Court rightly held that the Constitution does not contain any right to an abortion. I will quote from the majority opinion, quote, "The Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey arrogated that authority. The court overrules those decisions and returns that authority to the people and their elected representatives." Continuing to quote from the court's majority opinion, "Given that procuring an abortion is not a fundamental right, constitutional right, it follows that the states may regulate abortion for legitimate reasons, and when such regulations are challenged under the Constitution, courts cannot substitute their social and economic beliefs for the judgment of legislative bodies. Together, Roe and Casey represent an era that cannot be allowed to stand," end quote. Today, life wins. Roe will not see 50, and we are a better nation for it. The court's decision rights a deadly, decades-old wrong. Life is a human right, and we can no longer deny the humanity of the unborn child. Science reveals clearly that the developing baby is a separate and distinct human being who has the right to continue to progress and be born into life. Roe made Arizona's prohibition on Arizona unenforceable. That law should now be enforceable, prohibiting abortion in this state except to save the life of the mother. This will not only save innocent human lives, but will protect women from the undeniable pain and emotional harms of abortion. Arizona's pro-life advocates are ready to serve women facing unplanned pregnancies and their unborn babies. To clarify some misconceptions about what the opinion means, overturning Roe does not make abortion illegal throughout the United States. It sends abortion law back to state jurisdiction so voters can have a say through their elected officials. This development shines a light on just how radical Roe was. Roe allowed abortion well past the point at which a preborn baby feels excruciating pain and up until the actual point of birth. That is something that only extreme abortion activists support. It is completely out of touch with where America and the rest of the world are on abortion. Only a handful of countries allow such inhumane late-term abortion, and they include China and North Korea. So allowing states to make their own abortion laws is still far less restrictive than most countries on the planet. Next to speak will be State Senator Nancy Barto, who of course is the prime sponsor of many of the pro-life laws in our state over the last almost 2 decades. Welcome, Senator Barto. Again, we'll take questions after Senator Barto and our third speaker have spoken.
Thank you, Kathy. And happy birthday. I'm Senator Nancy Barto, and I'm so pleased to be here. It's a surreal day. Many of us in this room have been waiting for this moment most of our adult lives. When I was counseling pregnant women on sidewalks 25 years ago, the end of Roe was a distant glimmer. But we're here. Life has won a great victory through prayer, unity, and 49 years of perseverance. I'm proud to be standing today beside some of the great fighters from the front lines. I've been proud to introduce and support dozens of pro-life bills protecting the most vulnerable in our state, like the recent ban on the discriminatory abortions based on potential genetic abnormalities. Until this day, every pro-life bill we passed was at risk of being struck down by the courts in the name of Roe. Indeed, several pro-life laws in Arizona never made it into effect for just that reason. And others took years to go into effect while they snaked through the courts, and more lives were lost. Let me be clear. While today marks the end of Roe and its federal legal protection of abortion until birth, the battle is not over. We're now on a new battleground. The states are on the front lines, and we, as state legislators, are the primary gatekeepers and policymakers on this new front. What we will do and determine to do will determine the future of abortion in our state. But starting today, we will no longer be held hostage by Roe as we fight to pass laws protecting our most vulnerable from the dangers of abortion. My policy goals are twofold: to make abortion both illegal and unthinkable, and to provide expectant mothers every support they need to choose life. This will go beyond legislation. Private and public solutions are vital. Arizona's pregnancy centers, represented by some of the leaders here today, uniquely address and support women and families on the ground with counseling, information, and material aids. We know the left and the radical abortion lobby will stop at nothing to make abortion legal in our state. We've already seen the violent lengths to which they will go. This is a movement of death. So none of this should surprise us. Victory will require the same amount of prayer, unity, and steadfast commitment that brought us to this day. We cannot stop until we've fully washed this stain of death from our country. Today, we really, truly celebrate and thank God. And tomorrow, we get back to work in the defense of every innocent life. Thank you.
Now speaking is Josh Chumley with Choices, Chumley, and he is the Chief Advancement Officer at Choices.
We celebrate what the highest court in the land has ruled because it affirms value of life. Not just the value of life for our babies, but for the value of life of our women and the men that are participating in this. You see, we're celebrating what's changed, but really our day-to-day at Choices only increases. It increases the value that we place on a woman's life. For 40 years, next March, Choices has served in the state of Arizona. It was one of 3 pregnancy centers in 1983. And while it has changed and evolved, we have served over 260,000 women to date. And I get to stand up here humbly representing over 9,000 people that are alive today because of the work that God has given Choices to do in our great state. May we be an example of Christ's love, because we believe in a greater love for this valley, a greater love for the state of Arizona. So while we celebrate, we also know there is much work to be done, and many people are involved. Every pregnancy resource center, every church, every believer in life and what Jesus has done for us on the cross. We get to celebrate that today, but knowing that he gives us strength to pursue the next higher calling. The higher calling is that women deserve better than what they've been given. The higher calling is that babies deserve a chance. We will continue to offer free pregnancy tests. We will continue to offer free ultrasounds. We will continue, as of 6 weeks ago, to offer the abortion pill reversal. We will continue. We will continue to offer our post-abortive program that served just 200 women just last year. We will continue. Because a greater love is what drives us, compassion leads us, and transformation inspires us at Choices Pregnancy Centers as we walk this out with you that believe in life. Thank you for supporting this, and we celebrate, and we're ready to push forward. Thank you.
Okay, open for questions. Mike?
Good afternoon. Mark Phillips, ABC 15. Wanted to ask you, have you or will you go to the Attorney General and ask him to seek to end the, I guess it's the enforcement of the prohibiting the state from the pre-Roe law that was part of the 1972 Planned Parenthood case in Tucson? Are you going to ask him to try to have that removed so you can have the pre-Roe law enforced?
There are many legal questions to be answered. There's a question on whether the Attorney General has the enforcement power, whether he has the jurisdiction, or whether that goes to county attorneys in this state. But we anticipate that law enforcement will be willing to enforce the pre-roll law. The law should be enforceable. Legal questions remain to determine whether that is today or whether that is in the days to come. But yes, the pre-roll law should be enforceable. The pre-roll law was only unenforceable because of the Roe versus Wade decision. Roe is gone. That means 133603 should be enforceable, and abortion is not allowed in our state except to prevent the life of the mother.
I would like to ask the senator a question. Governor Ducey doesn't seem to hold that opinion. As late as today, he believes that the Mississippi law as written that was ruled on today is the law that Arizona will take place, that any sort of territorial law doesn't have an effect here now that we're a state. Your thoughts on that, and then one follow-up to you.
Well, what we do know, and thank you for the question, is that Governor Ducey signed Senate Bill 1164, which includes the language that ensures that the underlying pre-Roe law is still in effect under these circumstances. So it'll be the courts that determine this situation and not our governor or any other person with a differing opinion.
Okay, and my follow-up to you, you had mentioned future challenges. Do you see you stepping forth with kind of a law that would prohibit the abortion pill in Arizona?
Well, there are a lot of potentialities coming. We don't know. I'm sure the issue is going to be discussed ad nauseum in the future by our state legislature and others across the country. But for now, no, there's no plan on that.
Let me clarify. Let me just clarify on that question. Arizona law already prohibits the delivery of the abortion pill by mail or by courier. If abortion is not legal in this state, then no method of abortion is legal in this state. So whether it's the abortion pill being dispensed or whether it's a surgical abortion. Unfortunately, women's lives are being put at risk by an abortion industry that is sending abortion pills from countries like India into this state. How we protect women in Arizona from the potential very harmful effects of abortion pills that are not regulated, that are sent from outside the state or outside the country, is a challenge in the days ahead. But women need to know that the abortion pill is not safe for women, and we have seen that over and over again.
Well, let me ask you a question.
And let me just clarify my misunderstanding on that.
Sure.
I was thinking you were talking about the what is it? The medication. Abortion medication. Not abortion medication. The
Plan B?
Plan B.
Morning after pill.
We've been up all night a lot lately. I'm sorry. So that was my reference, frame of reference.
Well, let's start with that. Do you believe, Cathi and I have had this discussion over the last 30 years. There are people who believe that Plan B simply prevents ovulation, or other people who believe that Plan B prevents a fertilized egg from implanting. Do you believe that this decision outlaws Plan B in Arizona?
No, I do not.
Okay, then let me ask the question about the abortion pill. The president said that as far as he's concerned, come on out to Mike, Cathi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We always follow Howie. Yes.
You're the lawyer here. The president said as far as he's concerned, it's the FDA that decides what drugs are legal in this country, not any individual state law. You still believe that this state can keep women from getting, the term.
Abortion medication.
Abortion medication, delivered to them?
The Supreme Court today said that there's no constitutional right to an abortion in the United States Constitution. They returned the decision on whether abortion pills, surgical abortions, are legal in this state. It's a matter for state lawmakers like Senator Barto. For those who may not be aware, the morning after pill, Plan B, is what a woman is to take within the first 3 or 5 days following sexual intercourse in order to prevent a pregnancy. The morning after pill can work in various ways. There are ways in which the morning after pill operates as an abortifacient, and so that is a concern. That is another one of the kind of legal uncertainties that I think will be determined in the days ahead. Other questions?
I do have a question.
Goodness.
Future legislation, first of all, I want to ask about the territorial law. You think that should be enforceable now. If that is the case, I imagine that'll get litigated. But if that is the case, would you push for, would Senator Barto push for any further exceptions to that rule? Because right now that territorial law doesn't include the exceptions for rape and incest.
The question on the pre-roll law 13-3603, I anticipate we will have litigation in state court and federal court on that. We'll see how fast the pro-abortion industry can run to state courts to file that lawsuit. What happens next, I think, from a state legislative perspective, will determine what happens in the courts. So I think that remains to be determined. We'll need probably a state Supreme Court decision in which I anticipate they will say abortion is not in our state constitution. So I think we want to see how it plays out. We want to see what happens in the courts before we make any determinations or statements about potential exceptions in a future pro-life law.
And in the meantime, are you going to be pushing for, or would you be introducing any legislation to further restrict abortions from the 15-week ban where it is right now? While this plays out, while this litigates, as you know, can take years.
Well, we'll have to watch what's happening in the courts and how quickly it does play out. Right now, I don't foresee anything happening.
Cathi, there's a specific right to privacy. I know you knew this question was coming. Built into the Arizona Constitution that does not exist in the U.S. Constitution. Roe was decided on the basis that there was a penumbra of privacy, even if it's not said there. We have a specific right of privacy in the Constitution. Do you believe that protects a woman's right to choose?
Not at all. The state constitution's right to privacy clause is related to privacy issues like search and seizure, those types of more of a federal Fourth Amendment constitutional right. So I think it's clear that let me just say this, the abortion industry has tried to raise the state constitutional right to privacy clause in the past, that somehow it gave a woman a right to an abortion. That has never been litigated, never been found in court, never been thought to be applied to the issue of abortion. So no, I do not think that our courts will find a right to an abortion in our state constitution. And if they do, they'll be making law, not interpreting it. Other questions? All right, then we thank you all for coming and have a great day. It's a great day for babies and their mothers in the state of Arizona.
So he's the cheering section.
No, we have, there are many here that have been advocating for how many years, so, well, sure, thank you. I hope that helped you all.